want to do like, oh, that's loud. You might want to do lessons where you're getting more vocabulary and phrasal verbs that you can use when you're answering the IELTS,
Uh,
but it's up to you.
I think I should be trained. Uh, you should be you should act like an examiner, like be very strict to me.
Strict
So
with me. But
strict
I
with me.
don't,
Yeah.
did you hear what I said? I said you said about English stagnating. So what I just said to you is I don't think it's helpful for you to go through and practice again training like doing IELTS questions because you're just going to reuse your passive or your active vocabulary. So I said you should just do regular high level lessons so that you improve your vocabulary, and get more phrasal verbs, things like that. Because what purpose would it serve to just do the same questions again and again? You practiced all the questions, you
Uh,
know?
I guess I just want to improve my reflex, and I guess the areas that I'm struggling the most in are fluency and vocabulary, I think.
Exactly. So I don't, again, doing what we did before, like when are you taking the IELTS again?
I'm planning to take, I already like register my test on July 21st.
Yeah, so you got plenty of time. Like basically, and you don't need to start doing like heavy IELTS practice until the beginning of July, because otherwise you're just actually going to, um, it can actually lead to having a lower score if you're over practicing it.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay,
I
so
just think we need to take a different approach. So I
let's
guess what I was trying to do is today I really kind of wanted to introduce you to like a C1 level lesson where we look at vocabulary and we're going to be talking about topics, so you're still practicing for the IELTS because you're going to have to defend your opinions, you're going to have to explain things,
Mhm.
things like that.
Okay.
Um, but tell me, okay, so give it a try for today, and then if you come back and say, okay, I prefer it this way, then I'll say, okay,
Okay, sure.
you're the boss, man. You're the boss.
As long as I speak, get to speak a lot.
Oh, darn it. I was really hoping to lecture you today. So are you at the same job?
Okay.
I'm asking, are you at the same job as last year?
Yeah. And then with the IELTS, with the high IELTS score, I would probably be more valued because it's very competitive in my company. So you get
So
to make
basically
friends if you speak
you
better.
took, oh, okay. So you haven't, okay, in the last year, has there been any changes in your workplace or in your position particularly?
I guess there are more employees joining the company.
Oh, so
Yeah.
that's what you mean by it's more competitive?
Yeah. More sales figure, more younger sales figure as well. They all very qualified.
You keep saying sales figure. Is that something you say in the company? Because
Uh,
it's not something I would generally would
salespeople.
say.
Salespeople.
No, no, it's fine. I was just curious. Is that the term you use in the company?
No, that's it.
Sales figure? Oh, no, it's fine. I just, because business English can be subjective, like different corporations have their own lingo. So I always clarify before I question.
Hmm.
Um, okay, so I see a lot of these questions would be something you would have to explain the IELTS. So I always have a purpose for everything I do. So I'm focusing on your job right now. So you said, like, basically, why has your company hired more people? So what changes have taken place in the company that
Uh,
they are hiring more people?
right. They are expanding to more locations.
Ah, so the company's expanding.
Yeah, they are scaling up and
Nice.
expanding to more regions and territories around the world. Yeah, they're set up.
Wow. Would would there be opportunity for you to relocate abroad then?
I don't want to relocate abroad because
Oh, okay, sorry.
I want to stay in my hometown.
Okay, so you want to stay at the company. You just want, so do you like, how is the IELTS score going to help you then get a promotion in the company? Like, from what to what
Uh,
if you're not
so
relocating?
we get
Yeah.
to, yeah. So we still meet clients online. We don't have to travel in person to meet these clients, right? That would be
Okay.
huge expenses for the company to to
It would just be a huge expense because it's just the travel expense, so a huge
okay.
expense.
All right, cool. It would be a huge expense for the company to sponsor like me to travel when there's no need
Yeah.
for that. So I would just work from home, work in an office from my computer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
that's
that's what I'm asking it. What's the, because you talked about maybe getting a
yeah,
better position or, and I'm
yeah.
like, where, yeah, sorry, you're leading there.
So with what I mean is the better I speak, the higher my IELTS speaking score or my IELTS in general score is, the more opportunities I may have. For example, they would assign me more clients. I would put that on my LinkedIn as well to as
Hmm.
a badge of honor, I guess. And
Okay.
yeah, I would network with potentially more people.
Are you, do you get, I can't remember the word. Basically, if you get more clients or higher profile clients, does that mean you get more pay? Like, is your pay related to your clients?
Yeah, so it relates to
Ah,
yeah. So right now I receive
commission.
medium
So to say.
size and small business clients.
Okay.
So I want to get to work on more lucrative contracts, and I want
Yeah.
to expand my network as well. So I guess I just one of the one of the ways to do that is through an IELTS. It's through the higher IELTS score, right?
Honestly, that seems so odd to me because I've met plenty of great English speakers and they're great, but they're not necessarily going to be performing great because English is just a tool to communicate what's going on in here. So you have to have it here, and it has nothing to do with your IELTS score. So not that you don't have it, of course you do. I'm just wondering why the company would value the IELTS score more than anything. It doesn't make sense to me because that's a huge risk. Because great English speakers are not always great at a specific task.
Uh, I would say it's not only about the score, but also about the development of my skills. Right now,
Yeah,
I still speak with um, a lack of fluency, and I still struggle sometimes to find the right words. I mispronounce things sometimes, and so I think it's just a target for me to reach into.
I see.
Yeah, well, that's part of the reason. Yeah, I know. Just the badge of honor is a bit superficial, but yeah, the main goal is still to
I
reach.
think it's the opposite. I mean, I think that it's superficial to only think about money. You saying it's a badge of honor makes it deeper. It's pride.
Okay, yeah.
I
Mm,
mean, I'm just giving my opinion. Sorry. I just disagree with you.
right. Okay, but yeah, no, I agree. But yeah, it's just to reach my full potential and hopefully get something to showcase, like a certificate, like it's like a certificate that I deserve, that I it's like a certificate of computer science,
Yeah.
certificate
And
of
I mean,
yeah.
yeah, it can lead to other stuff, but I was thinking moreover that it could lead to positions in other companies. You know, I mean, at some point in your company, there's so many other politics at play, I'm sure. And you mentioned them hiring in new people. They're going to have a different take on things. Do you feel like when you said they're hiring younger people, I would assume that that's not a huge threat though, because a lot of times you just hire a bunch of young people because you can pay them less. You know, like they can't hire someone with your years of experience for the same price or salary that they're going to hire an
Mm,
someone just starting out.
yeah.
But I don't know, do you feel, because I have a student who is much older than you. He's like in his 50s. And he was talking about how a lot of young people come into his company and things are just going to hell. Now, of course, he has his own opinions. But because he was saying that there's such a disconnect between the established persons who had been working for a decade and more, and these new people coming in with very different corporate culture. I'm curious because that's in Spain. So I'm curious if that's happening as well. You're in Vietnam, right?
Right. Uh,
Yeah.
I guess people assume that, like the manager assume that younger people may have less responsibilities, like family matters, or they are more quick-witted because and they are more likely to be trained. So they are more susceptible to,
They're more trainable, you'd
yeah, they're
say.
more trainable and they're more susceptible to
Susceptible.
they are more susceptible to I guess to improvement because they are younger.
We wouldn't say susceptible. It would just be that they're more likely to improve. This
Yeah.
is where you'd use likely.
Yeah, so that is the culture in Vietnam. Like younger people are often highly valued because not because of not only because of their trainable aspects, but also because of the lack of family families that they have, right?
This is why I hate capitalism. That's not just Vietnam. That's everywhere. But it's just to have to compete with perception, which is what you're doing. You're competing with perception. It's not a reality. How do you compete with perception? Like, no matter what you do, sorry, maybe I'm going to be like putting you in a bad mood. I'm just frustrated for you because you're such a capable, experienced, driven woman.
Mhm.
And you're competing with the perception of, well, this is what we believe about this, but that's not real because you have to look at each individual,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And so have you considered like looking into like an international or other company, or do you think your future is at the company you're at?
Uh, I'm pretty flexible, I guess.
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, I'm pretty flexible if I have a, I mean, I guess like an IELTS 9 or something, it's still very much like highly valuable in the world,
Highly valued.
highly valued in the world. Yeah,
Hmm.
I guess it will give me a better promotion in the new company as well if I decide to jump ship.
I'm going to be completely honest with you.
Yeah.
It's not as highly valued as you think it is. Most employers aren't going to differentiate that much between 7.5 and 9 because basically all they need you to do is have sufficient English to do the job, and then they're going to be focused on your other skills. So let's say you are matched with someone, then it will come into play, sure, right? But it's not something that's people aren't going to look at that and say, "Oh, I'm definitely going to give her an interview because she has a 9." All it means is they can speak to you freely, but whatever it is that you can do, that's going to be more important. The 9 is mostly just will help with like university scholarships and things, which isn't your goal.
Mm,
So I'm just saying it doesn't mean you shouldn't, as you said, achieve your badge of honor. Just, be realistic that it's not going to give you that much of a bump when
mm,
it comes to international companies.
okay.
I've heard so many companies just kind of wave their hands, like people just being like, yeah, 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 it's fine. Just as long as you can communicate in this, this, and this, it's fine. They don't care about the rest of it. They just want you to do your job, do it well, get results, you know?
Okay.
Um, So we can look at copyrights because that's something that is a current thing. So like a lot of new questions in the IELTS would probably center around AI and copyrights, especially with the now the voice generators that are causing chaos for people. Did you see that like the lawsuit with Scarlett Johansson?
No.
Yeah, like Scarlett Johansson had denied a request by ChatGPT or open no, it was OpenAI to be the voice of their this new version of the app, like, and she decided no because she had done a movie about it and they mimicked her voice anyway. So basically she's suing them. Yeah, it's pretty crazy that they could do that. Or parasocial relationships.
Whatever is fine.
Okay. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Did I create tension?
No, what?
Here. Oh, okay,
I
good.
just want to speak.
I'm just making
Oh.
sure. Okay. Okay. All right. So yeah, here's like a little just to practice in your sentence structure. Because when you say you want IELTS 9, is that in all areas, like your writing as well? Or is it mostly just speaking?
Mostly just speaking.
Oh, okay. Well, either way, you're speaking this out. So don't write it, just speak it. Make this the verb. And so restate the same sentence, but using that as a verb.
Mm-hmm. The author copyrighted his novel as he was concerned about illegal reproduction.
Yeah, that one's a bit easier. Good. And the next one for licensed. This one's a bit odd. So the license has to be a noun now.
Okay. The artist issued a license for his artwork.
Well, I wouldn't say he issued it because the issuer has to be the people who provide licenses. Like when it says he licensed it, it just means he went through the process of getting a license, not issuing his own license.
Mm,
But maybe. No, it is. You're right. Issued a license. I wouldn't say it that way. That's the nuance because you can't make your own license, can you? You have to go to like a person who works in law and they have to issue the license for you,
okay.
right? And then you can give the license to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
This is weird. All right. So have you heard about, so we're going to talk about some of the copyright issues. And what I want you to do is use it within thinking, always relating it to something in your life, in your sphere, or in your country, try to localize everything. All right. So do you know what this is about?
Mm, yeah, I don't know.
Well, what do you think?
Uh,
I mean, what would that be?
I guess someone sued her because she used copyrighted material in her song.
They sued her because they claimed she copied their material.
Okay.
But it was the term shake it off. So, in your opinion, if someone had used shake it off as maybe a repeated expression, perhaps in a song previously, do you think that they're able to copyright that expression? Like, do you think Taylor Swift actually took that and made it into her own song?
Mm, I think Taylor Swift shouldn't be sued because the term shake it off is quite common.
Ah, yes, it's a common expression. Have
Yeah.
you ever used it in
Yeah,
your own
I
speaking?
guess not as common as I thought, but I do use it once in a while.
It's honestly, it gets used a lot in corporate lingo and in the sports world because both are highly competitive. And so, when you take a loss or you have a setback, people always, motivate each other. Like, it's okay, shake it off, just keep going, like
Mhm.
that, you know? Um, Speaking of, so have you been in a situation where you had to shake something off? It
Uh,
could be, yeah,
yeah. When I was 9 years old, I was
9
bullied.
years old. So I didn't know we were going that far back. Okay. You were
Uh,
bullied
I was bullied relentlessly because of my short height. I was the
because
short
I was short.
because I was short. I was the shortest girl in class, and
Kids
I
bully over that?
I was yeah I was called I was called with insulting remarks every day.
I was insulted every day.
I was insulted every day, so I just ignored them and reported them to the teacher.
Did that help
Yeah,
or did it make it worse?
I guess I
Okay.
just shook it off. I think it
Because when
helped quite a bit
yeah,
because
yeah,
after a while they just move on. And
okay,
yeah, I just didn't really care because I had more important things like my friends and my family.
yeah. Wow, no, that's a good story though. But how does that, okay, so those are like, that's a form, we call it a formative experience, right? So do you think, because obviously it came to your mind rather quickly. So has that experience of being bullied been formative for you and how?
Mm. Great question. I
Thank
guess
you.
I guess mm, I guess I still have some insecurities about my appearance. Um, and then deep inside, even though I pretended not to care, I still have some deep-seated issues with my insecurity. Um,
Mm.
I still um, carry that I guess a little bit of trauma inside me. Uh,
Yeah,
so I vow to not do the same for anyone because it hurts me deeply.
I bet though I mean, because it probably makes you, well, one, you're probably kinder than in the workplace, right? But do you think it's created a more resilient you as well because you're having to deal with that continued trauma?
Uh, I agree that it has strengthened my confidence. I know not strengthened myself because I no longer care about um what other I no longer care about I don't know how to say it. Like
Well, you say you're more resilient, you have thicker skin, right? We
uh
say. Do you know that phrase?
yeah, I know.
Okay.
I think I still feel a bit insecure about myself. So
Okay.
I don't feel more confident. Uh,
Okay.
I'm still uh, I'm still trouble when someone comments on my lack of appearance. If they
Okay.
have,
How can you don't have a lack of appearance means you're not showing up to things.
okay. Someone still comments about mm,
Your appearance.
my appearance. Yeah. So
Why
uh,
would any, sorry, I'm just flabbergasted. Why would adults be commenting on your appearance? Like who does that and how? Is it like family? Because family's annoying.
yeah, my family's mostly
Yeah.
comment on my style and my hair. Sometimes they would pinpoint acne on my skin and
Ugh,
the
so
changes
annoying.
the changes in weight. They consider
Fluctuations in weight, we say.
yeah, they consider that as a form of affection because
They
care
consider it a form of affection.
they care
Interesting.
about my health and my
Oh,
look.
because they're trying to make you better instead of accepting you for who you are. Oh, it's so annoying.
Right. Yeah, yeah. And
Okay.
yeah.
When you're talking, what I'm doing is focusing on, because like you, and I'm starting to understand you more about how driven you are. And as you said, like overcoming this feeling of not being good enough because of people being stupid. Um, so I'm trying to focus on what would make the difference. And it's not that you lack vocabulary and you never have a problem answering it. I keep adding things because I'm trying to give you the common phrasing so it sounds completely native, you know? So that's why I'm not really correcting you because you're making mistakes. I'm giving something that would make you sound more native. Okay. Um, so Apple and Samsung settle 7-year long patent fight over copying the iPhone. Do you know about this?
Yeah, kind of.
I don't know this in detail, so maybe you could tell me. I mean, I can ascertain what it means, but
Um, I guess Samsung uh just allegedly like they say Apple allegedly copies their design or something. I'm not sure, but
Oh, so Samsung is the plain T.
I remember, but I'm not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
I
I
don't know.
think they
I
settled
thought it
that.
was Apple because they came out with the first iPhone. No,
Yeah.
yeah. No, it says copying the iPhone. So no, with the way it's written, Samsung would be copying the iPhone. So Apple is suing Samsung.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I think yeah, they settled that out of court.
It's just odd to me because these days, did you like most people who work now
I just
with,
like you, I don't like
yeah,
capitalism. I think it's just too dramatic.
yeah, it
The
is.
Western ideal and stuff, they're too dramatic. It's just a democracy is an illusion.
And a lot of lawsuits have ulterior motives. They're not really that genuine. Like lawsuits happen all the time and they're not that serious. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like that
I mean,
Monster Energy lawsuit. Like they sue everyone with that uses the term monster. Monster,
oh my God. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It just keeps them relevant.
Yeah, it keeps them relevant on the news and national
S-
international headlines. So
I mean, but I was gonna say, like, I remember the people so I taught English in Samsung. And their semiconductors are sold to companies like Apple. So Samsung technology is in Apple. So that's why it's just so weird to me because it's already incestuous. Like I met a person who worked for LG, right? But he developed the metallic alloy that was featured in the iPhone, like a certain generation of iPhone, the one that made it all pretty and shiny. He invented it, right? So it's so incestuous. Like, what are they talking about? Like these people are working in all three companies making the same things, you know?
what is incestuous?
Ooh. Well, okay. So incestuous, the literal meaning is a little bit uncomfortable. It's when you have
Oh,
sexual relations with family.
okay.
But we also use it to talk about like it's more like a metaphorical. I don't know, it could be literal nowadays because there's multiple meanings. But basically when people are going in and out, so like the companies are now intertwined, kind of like, so usually they're supposed to stay apart, but they're starting to be intertwined. So we call it like it's an incestuous thing where they're adopting each other's technologies, using like certain elements of one company in the competing product. So we call it an incestuous business relationship. You'll see it all the time in headlines. It's not from my mind.
So basically, like they all use, for example, they all use the same chip from NVIDIA or something from
Yeah,
Taiwan.
so then yeah, well, it's more yeah, where the companies just start to get so intertwined. And
Okay.
then it's like, okay, so Samsung's doing this for Apple, but Samsung's doing the same thing for like Huawei. And Huawei is doing, like they're just like all intertwined with certain elements that make up the final product. And it's like it looks like they're all three separate companies and you can add more, but really a lot of the elements of it are quite incestuous from one company to another, you know? Um, anyway, as you said, it's capitalism. It's such a weird concept because globalization has redefined capitalism. And then the Avatar screenplay lawsuit, just like the weirdest lawsuit.
I have no idea what these are.
Well, Avatar was the movie, with the blue people.
I know, but I don't
Oh,
catch up with lawsuits because they're too dramatic.
yeah. Yeah, I know. It was more just, it's kind of a silly thing. So he said that he wrote the original.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't tell them anyway. So
But the storyline of Avatar is so like redundant and derivative. Like you could like say that it copied a dozen different movies. For me, when I first watched it, there was a movie that came out in the 80s or early 90s called Running with the Wolves. No. I can't remember the name of it anymore, but basically the storyline is exactly the same. When I was watching it, I was like, what? They just redid the same movie just in space. everything was the same. A man from the military who was sent to make contact with the alien, or not with the alien, with the indigenous people. Then he becomes part of their society, and then the military wants to use his knowledge to take their land. It was the exact same story. It's crazy. Anyway, do you find that okay, so IELTS thing. Do you think that Hollywood has become stuck in a rut? Like, do you think that, how do you feel about the new material coming out of Hollywood? Do you think that there's still some novelty and some newness, or is it just a constant, like, regurgitation of either a franchise or a movie that's already been done, just redone?
Hmm. I guess they just, like you said, like novelty nowadays because they keep uh, reusing the same formulas, such as a remix. I'm fed up with remix by this point.
You mean remix it applies to a song. You mean a remake?
Yeah, remake.
Remake is a movie. Mhm. So I'll
Like
write that.
you write the song version.
Yeah, yeah. Remix is a song, and it's like a song.
Okay,
It's
I
like
know. Yeah,
okay.
the MIX, yeah. Yeah, I think they keep using same formulas and they don't really come up with um, innovative concepts and storylines anymore because they perhaps the writer's strike has something to do with that because most writers has been protesting
Have
have
have been.
been protesting because they don't get paid enough to write original storylines and plots. So it's inevitable that they would um
Inevitable.
inevitable that they would regurgitate
Yeah,
these ideas.
perfect.
On
So I'm
top
trying to
of,
be quiet. Okay. Oh, sorry.
top of that, I think the old formulas, I mean the old storylines and concepts might become more familiar with, might already be familiar with the masses. So that is less promotional work to
Ah, that's a good point.
that is less promotional work because these storylines and these upcoming movies already have an established fandom who have watched previous iterations of the movies.
Good. Your just accent was in the wrong place. It's just iterations. You don't have to
Iteration.
accent the middle syllable.
Okay.
Nice. Well done, though. So a question you might get in that topic, I was thinking, would be, what is the most interesting or novel movie or TV series that you'd seen? Like, can you describe when you were exposed to it, who exposed, how it made you feel? So I'm trying to think of a part two kind of question.
Mm, mm.
And if you don't watch much movies or TV, just go ahead and change it to a book. It's fine.
I I would say Dune 2 is a recent blockbuster that I really enjoy because I'm a big fan of the original book. So when I heard that the movie, a movie which is based on that would be released, I was um, really looking forward to it. I thought the cinematography was neat and
Neat.
was
Hold on, I have a story about neat. I wouldn't say neat, but go ahead.
and the acting was impeccable. Um, the plot, the plot, I guess the plot really like illustrates the current state of the world with the West, with the antagonist kingdom symbolizing the West and the protagonist side representing representing like so, like the Middle East, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I
And
was thinking.
Russia and China, all that stuff. So, um, and the spike in the movie resembles oil as a commodity that these superpowers are fighting.
Ah,
I guess it's a really nice juxtaposition
mhm.
um, for our current global geopolitical affairs.
Well done. Yeah, you would say maybe the plot was updated, right? That's what I was thinking. It has been updated to illustrate that. Did you feel okay, so a lot of times a big critique in Hollywood movies is that if you kind of look at maybe a decade ago, okay, because maybe in today it's not as much, Middle Easterners were pretty much always depicted as terrorists, you know? Do you feel that this movie gave a fair minded, like a fair, you know, view of both sides, like not just one being ignorant to the other or more violent or I don't know.
Yeah. Love this question. I think this movie portrayal of both sides is quite fair. I guess it's more sympathetic to the Middle East side.
You
Mm,
think so? Middle
be-
Eastern, if you say side, Middle
to
Eastern side.
the Middle Eastern because they just mind their own business when these superpowers
Good point.
superpowers just invade their lands and massacre millions of civilians.
Yeah, yeah.
Just like
I mean,
what we're
yeah.
witnessing, what we have been witnessing in the Middle East since 2001. So I guess it really empathize with the Middle East. It leans towards the Middle East and portrays the West as more of a villain as they
I
deserve.
still I agreed with you to a point, but I do have to point out I do have one critique is that okay, so the Harkonnens, who are very white, were definitely the bad guy. I mean, they're talking about genocide. They're the bad guy, right? But it seemed like if you read the book, you read the book, right? Because the book it has it in stronger detail. But Duke Leto is like, I feel like he's portrayed as the white savior complex. Like, for instance, I don't know if, I mean, basically, he kept saying how he was there to utilize, to harness the power of the desert, to harness the people. He was still viewing them as a tool to, to establish his own supremacy over the land. And of course, he had like he was very like a good he was a good man like he wanted to do it in a fair way where it was a collaboration but it was still to me a white savior complex. I'm here to save these people because they can't throw off the yoke of the empire and the Harkonnen. And
Mm,
then Paul Atreides himself being the savior, him not being of the desert,
yeah,
and then and then they even said he's going to start a holy war. And I don't know, there's something about it that didn't sit well with me.
yeah. I think it just throws me off too how these like white protagonists are portrayed as like the saviors as you mentioned. Uh,
Hmm.
but we haven't seen like a real life uh real life like I would say like real life representation of the Latos of the Atreides in real world.
Mm. Okay,
No one has come to like to prevent the war in the Middle East. Like no one has dared to come to intervene.
fair
Uh,
point.
so
Yeah,
I guess it's still I'm talking more about like portraying the Hanekins as villains. I have
Harkonnens.
Hanekins, yeah. I haven't like touched upon the traders yet, but I think yeah I wish that they would have someone from the indigenous groups themselves as liberators, and saviors of their own nations, of their own tribes, as opposed to someone
Yeah,
from like uh from a mega superpower, like from a very uh
exactly. I
from an
mean,
oppressor. Uh,
yeah, because the Atreides family and I mean, I like the books, I know they were very powerful. They were a threat to the emperor. That's how powerful they were. But also, some people say that they didn't like I actually really enjoyed it in the movie, but I understand the validity of the concern that Stilgar was made into kind of a caricature of his character in the book. Now, I appreciated the humor, but I'm curious how you felt about that.
I guess I wasn't happy. I wasn't too
You
happy
were happy?
how his depiction as
Um,
someone who worships power treaties and lauding every of his work,
yeah,
because it just doesn't sit well with me, because it just worships, like it just unfairly worships like these white saviors, like they are God, like they are like um these
they're
immortal,
they're
and
blessed. Yeah,
they're like some deities, um
deities.
deities, yeah. Or when in fact Portuguese is just flawed and cruel in nature, you know. So
Yeah, I'm curious to see how the next movie. I mean, I appreciate it's great to see a movie that makes you feel so many different things. Like I loved the movie, and I think that there are many things that I don't like, but that's also things in the story. But okay, the last thing I wanted to ask you, sorry, because I love the topic of Dune, if that's okay. I wanted to know if you think the Bene Gesserit, do you think that they like how do you view them in the spectrum of from villain to savior,
mm,
you know?
good question. I would say that they are more of a villain because they
Mm.
are very Machiavellian.
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 No, Machiavellian.
Machiavellian.
You keep doing Mar. It's
Ma.
Machiavellian.
Machiavellian. Damn, that's hard.
Machiavellian. But I love that you went for it.
Machiavellian. Yeah, they are Machiavellian and very self-interested. They would be like the master puppet, the puppet master who
The Puppet Masters. Yeah.
pull the strings behind the scene to get their way. So no matter the cost, no matter how Ontario it is, uh,
How what? I'm sorry. Ul-
how Ontario, Ontario,
Ulterior.
Ontario. Okay.
This is good though, because we're starting to find the little things that we need to correct, by getting you to use words that were in your passive vocabulary. Yeah, I'm so happy. But anyway,
So
ulterior.
yeah, they remind me of the 1% elites
Mm,
who are in control of the world and who are in control of
I
government.
hadn't thought of that, but you're right. Yeah,
Yeah, these people are behind every government in the world, including the US, including Israel, including yeah, every single
it's
action
true.
that we do. So
Yeah. I've always been obsessed with the Bene Gesserit because I don't know, I'm not really someone who believes in good and evil. I think the actions are good and evil, but I don't know. I can easily be convinced to change my mind. Like I'm very open, but I always just saw them as like this kind of amazing representation of like true power of women, and it's not good and it's not bad. It just is the power. And it is scary. It's a scary power. And it can be used for outcomes that can be cruel, or maybe outcomes that could be amazing, you
yeah,
know? So I just love the Bene Gesserit, but I also love to hate them.
I guess another downside to their power is that they rely too much on their supernatural being, that their supernatural superstitious power. I don't know. I don't
Hmm,
trust these
that's a good point.
power. Like,
This power,
if
like the voice.
yeah, they're like shamans and like, those
That's a good point.
supernatural beings that some presidents
Yeah.
around the world are seeking advice from. Like, the president of South Korea, Park Geun-hye, used to solicit advice from these shamans.
I had no idea.
He got impeached by that. Yeah, you can read it up.
You can read up on it.
Yeah, you can read up on it.
I
Uh,
had no it. That's craziness. Okay, go
and
ahead.
then
Sorry.
and then we got Hype, the corporation behind Big BTS, the biggest boy band in the world.
Yeah, yeah, I'm just listening. You're just like revealing a lot that I didn't know
Uh,
about. So I'm just,
they are allegedly they are spreading the message from a cult in Korea, and
the one
there
with the lady
there are evidences of that. Uh the one cult that endorses this Japanese god, Margot, and
Yeah, the lady. Oh my God.
there are cryptic messages for that in their MV, in their music
And
videos.
there,
Yeah,
it's one of those things that, yeah, it 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 could be either or. It could be coincidence because you can find anything anywhere. But if it is true, it's insane, you know?
yeah, yeah. And even
That
their
cult
name
is scary.
and even their name Hype stands for like a mantra from that cult. It's an abbreviation of one of the mantras of that cult, one of the main mantras. And then yeah,
Have you ever been exposed to this cult?
no.
It's crazy, man. No, because I lived in Korea and almost every foreigner has had an experience with a cult member because they target you. Like when you're walking, they'll just come right up to you and they'll do things like they'll ask you about stuff that make you feel comfortable and then they'll invite you to a lunch. And then you show up and all of a sudden it's like you're getting pamphlets and there's a worship service and you're just like,
I don't know why
yeah.
like Korea it's so entrenched with cult and shamans. Like that's crazy. That's insane how even their politics and their economies are controlled by these groups of superstitious people. Like
Okay, so let's put it on your own country. So how do you feel what do you feel are the state of affairs regarding superstition, and alternative beliefs in Vietnam?
they are
Just curious, because I don't know anything about it.
they are secondary to the communist government.
Okay,
They are suppressed. They are kind of in the back burner.
on the back burner.
They're on the back burner because the government still has the um, higher power.
First off, I was a little taken aback when you said the communist government, because I had never considered you're the expert. I'm just saying I hadn't considered the government of Vietnam to be communist because it's not like in the political verbology, we don't say it's communist. It doesn't fall in under the
Yeah,
definition.
they are fearful. They are fearful of religion in Vietnam. Like
Interesting.
um, any religious groups, any religious groups or any new cults are immediately up for suspicion. Um, yeah, they would think that these cults and these groups are plotting something against them.
Do you think their fear is valid? I mean, because we've seen where religion has acted directly against a government. I mean, it's happening in my own country, to be honest.
Yeah, I think their concerns are valid, absolutely valid, because religions have an immense control and influence over people,
That's what I think.
and yeah, and their fears are valid. I think they should suppress these codes, honestly, because they can
You can say
have
anything.
they can have tremendously negative impact on people, and we see how cults have created dysfunctional families and mental health
Mm,
issues. So
mm,
yeah, I feel like the government should do everything to eliminate these cults.
interesting. Yeah, totally cool. All right. So maybe we'll might change gears by just looking at a vocab word, which you probably know, and then I'm gonna ask a question that would be targeted in the IELTS realm. So basically what's the definition of plagiarize? You can find it here.
Yeah. I think students should be fined for plagiarism
Okay.
because they're
Mhm.
just profiting of someone else's work.
But it's a bit, oh, it's a
Unless
bit
they
muddy, as we say
unless they
these
reference
days.
unless they
I'm
ref
sorry.
unless they reference the work.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can only speak for English because I don't know what it is to write academic papers in another language, but we have actual like manuals on how to do this properly and you have to follow it or your academic submission will not be accepted. And you can even if you plagiarize, you can even be expelled. But I guess I say it's muddy now because of ChatGPT, you know?
Mhm.
And there are some people who say we should just embrace ChatGPT and let people incorporate it because it's very imperfect anyway, so you still have to edit it and make sure everything has flow, you
Mhm.
know? But other people say no, it's absolutely plagiarism. And that's the current issue. That's a topic that would be a 2024, 2025 question on the IELTS is
Right.
that do you think ChatGPT should be considered plagiarism, or should we be able to incorporate it because it's not going anywhere and it's impossible to,
Mhm.
it would take so much time and money to try to fight it.
Mm. I think it should be considered plagiarized because it's not your original work.
Considered plagiarism.
Yeah, it shouldn't be considered plagiarism because using ChatGPT means that you are not very original in your thoughts. Um, you are you also just rely too much on technology to devise your opinions. And I guess ChatGPT also references many sources from the internet as well.
Yeah,
So without citation, without like proper attribution uh, to these sources, you can also be considered a plagiarizer. Um,
play, oh, yeah. Plagiarizer?
like
Is that a
someone
word?
else.
No, I'm just thinking I would have to look that up because that is something I'm completely uncertain about. Okay, but have you used ChatGPT?
uh, I used it 3 times before, but I didn't like it.
Okay. No, I wanted to know if you had some exposure to it, just so you had an idea about it. Because the thing is that one, I agree with you, but what's generative AI one is not going, it's just not going anywhere. And I guess, do you think it's possible that if someone uses generative AI, do you think you would be able to recognize that they used it? And if so, even if you did recognize, is there any way to prove it? Because plagiarism is an accusation, you have to defend yourself against it, right? So you have to have definitive proof because of the consequences are so heavy. I mean,
Yeah,
do you think it's even possible to
yeah.
regulate this?
I I think it is feasible because there are
Yeah.
ChatGPT detection tools.
Mm.
Teachers and authorizers just need to copy the work and paste them into that tool. Um, so I
Mm.
guess it is possible to control, like to
To
regulate it,
police.
police
Hmm.
it in a way. Mm,
Mm.
right, but yeah, I think it's getting harder because ChatGPT is more and more like human. The better, the more they are used, the more
You mean
human.
it's becoming more human?
It's
Is that what
becoming
you mean?
more human in tones and skills. So they they more and more resemble humans in their
You
speech.
think?
Yeah, I guess when I read a ChatGPT work, I just cannot tell the difference, honestly. I guess they sound more, I guess they sound more pretentious in a way, but
Hmm.
I couldn't really tell the difference between like a book that is written by a ChatGPT or a book written by like a professional author.
I mean, I have so many. I really think that ChatGPT will become just another tool like spell check. I honestly do. And
Mhm.
the reason is I have a friend who she always has great ideas and she knows, okay, she loves this TV show, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and she knows it inside and out. Do you know Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
Yeah.
Oh, you do. And she just loves it so much. And so she's writing fan fiction with ChatGPT, but she spends as much time with the ChatGPT, uh, having it correct it and tweak and change things and aspects and language and making it sound more like it would be the actual character speaking. And so she spends as much time on it as she would writing it herself, but it can do something that she can't, and she can do something it can't, you know? And so in that case, it started making me change my opinion, where I was like, one, she's not going to publish or make money off of this. But I started to realize that it is just a tool and that it's not advanced enough at this point to, be just writing someone's paper and you just hand it in without even looking at it, you know? So the prompts and the changes and things take a lot of time, so it's still student work.
Right, but we need to consider the trajectory that AI would develop in the foreseeable future because right now it's not closely human yet. It's not like human-like yet, but in the future it
It will be.
will be.
I,
Yeah,
I have my doubts on that, but yeah, it'd be great. AI is going to be a big topic
yeah.
on IELTS in the future. When you took your IELTS, did they mention anything of it yet, or it hasn't been part yet?
When I took it, it was about like leadership,
Ah,
leadership and how and why you should take on leader roles. But yeah, nothing about.
was that was
I
that a
don't,
comfortable topic for you? Sorry.
yeah, that was. And then there was like a topic about location and maps. And then I started to use terms like spatial intelligence and then
Ooh,
okay. All right, I'll see
okay.
you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was good to see you. Bye.
Bye. It's good to talk to you.